The president held a rally in Greenville, North Carolina, Wednesday evening. The event took place after a week of nonstop criticism for Mr. Trump. He's been under scrutiny for making racist remarks about 4 freshman progressives, all of whom are women of color. However, he's stepped up his attacks on the congresswomen during the rally. The president singled each of them out by name and addressed the broader controversy during his remarks.
Republicans know that America is the greatest force for peace and justice in the history of our world. But these left-wing ideologues see our nation as a force of evil, the way they speak so badly of our country. They want to demolish our Constitution, weaken our military, eliminate the values that built this magnificent country.
Weijia Jiang joins me now. She is at the site of the rally in Greenville, North Carolina. Hi, Weijia. You were there as the president talked about those 4 freshman congresswomen. How was the president's message about them received there in North Carolina?
You know, maybe even better than he anticipated, because he didn't even say anything about these congresswomen. He said one of their names to start the attack, Representative Ilhan Omar, and as soon as he finished the word Omar, the crowd started booing. They started chanting USA, and then eventually they started chanting "Send her back," which of course is in response to the president's tweet that sparked this entire controversy over the weekend, when he tweeted that these 4 congresswomen should go back to their original countries where they came from, even though 3 of them were born here in the U.S. And as you mentioned, for the first time, he went through the entire list of these lawmakers and said their names. Before tonight, he had really just categorized them as a group, 4 freshmen, Democratic, socialist, progressive lawmakers. And I even asked him specifically at the White House just the other day, who are you talking about? And he said, you can guess on that one. And even though he had mentioned Omar before tonight, he did go through all of them, and after each one waited for a response. But I can tell you, before he even took the stage, we spoke with many voters here and supporters of the president and asked if they believed his tweets were racist, and asked about this conflict that continues to escalate. And I can tell you, they are standing right next to the president on this one. And they're even regurgitating his exact words, because I was trying to get to the core of why they support his message here and why they are taking his side, rather than these lawmakers. And they say it's because they hate America and they should leave if they don't like it. Of course, those are the very words that the president has been using to support his tweets.
So, Weijia, "send her back" sounds phonetically a lot like "lock her up," which, as we know, was a rallying cry for the previous presidential election. Are we going to hear "send her back" as part of the campaign strategy for 2020? Is the president now using these 4 freshman congresswomen as a replacement for a Democratic presidential candidate that hasn't yet been selected?
Well, I think that he's using them already to redefine the Democratic Party, to sort of set the stage for what he wants it to look like. And in some ways, he has already been successful. He is using them to paint it as the Socialist Party, right? Before, he was focusing on Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, but now he has 4 fresh faces that are already sparking controversy on their own, even within their party. And so he's capitalizing on that. We need to take a few steps back and remember the environment when all of this unfolded. And at the time, there was already building tension in the party, because House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, eyeing 2020 as well, has been trying to rein in lawmakers who sit on the far left, because there are a lot of moderates that they're trying to woo, and a lot of undecided voters who they are trying to bring back to the Democratic Party. And so she has been trying to tone this down. These are the only 4 lawmakers who voted against a border package recently. And so that was already happening. And President Trump saw this, and instead of being able to pit them against each other, however, Of course, Pelosi is behind them on this one, and they are trying to stand together. But he is trying to use these four to paint the party in this new way. And it's clear because even before he was up here, Vice President Mike Pence, his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, was also on the stage saying that these are now the leaders of the party. They are socialists, and, warning what would happen if a Democrat actually won in 2020, that it would become a socialist country.
Well, you can see how that strategy plays there in that auditorium, which is filled with the president's base. But you have to wonder how that strategy is going to play to a larger audience, because these are four women of color. So if the president is gambling that his base is enough to, keep him in the White House, maybe this will work. But if he has to extend that base at all, he's really playing with fire here when it comes to any other sort of voting bloc.
You're right. It is going to be an issue. We've seen it already. It's being framed as this sort of us against him picture here. And how long this goes on, we'll have to wait to see. But it certainly feels like it's not going to. But we should mention that the president kicked off this rally tonight with a celebration because the Democrats in the House had just wrapped up a vote not to move forward with a resolution of impeachment. We heard during the midterm stumps that President mentioned impeachment, that this was a possibility if Democrats took control of the House. But here we are, and, they did not do that. And so President Trump pointed to that, and he thanked the Democrats for using logic and for making the right decision. And so, I think that he was very energized tonight. And even though we knew that this was going to be a main talking point, this conflict he has with the so-called squad, these four congresswomen, I think the narrative is changing because he's able to say, no matter what you say, I do, because in this case, the resolution was based on his racist remarks. The sponsor called them high misdemeanors. He can say it's not enough to take me out of office. And you guys are the ones that voted not to move forward to try to do that.
He almost seems energized by this conflict.
He never backs down from a fight, and it certainly seems like these congresswomen are not going to back down either. And so we're just watching this unfold, but certainly we should not expect the president to apologize in any way, because he is very passionate about his belief that they are anti-American, and that's why he says he tweeted for them to go back.
All right. Well, Weijia Jiang, we thank you so much for that.
Sure.